If you would like to have your query letter critiqued but you do not want to pay to have that happen, you can have it done for free. The caveat is it will be public out here on my TikTok channel. The information on how to do that's in my bio. My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. We are always going to remember that this is meant to be constructive, not destructive in nature. There is a real live person who spent a lot of time writing a book that they are very proud of on the other side of this. So let's keep that in mind in the comment section and let's dive in. All right, seeking representation for a dual POV 79,000 word rom-com. Meet me at the lock. Word count is great, genre makes sense, title makes sense with both of those things. So this sounds like a rom-com. Combines this lush Scottish setting, why is that hard to say, similar to Kilt Trip. Which Kilt Trip? I plugged that title into Amazon and the entire first page was books titled that way by a bunch of different authors. So make sure that you are comping to traditionally published authors, because self-published authors get to be more in control of their pricing, and so they can price their books much, much lower while they are building an audience, and they can rack up an awful lot of sales and reviews while their books are priced very, very cheap at a price point that traditional publishing will not consider. So you do need to comp to traditionally published authors when you are doing this. I totally understand why there's a bunch of books titled this way. It's an adorable title. One Night on This Island. So we do have good reason. So lush setting, forced proximity. So we understand why we are choosing comps. That is a good sign. All right, calling the Scottish castle. Why am I having such a hard time saying Scottish today? I don't know. In the Highlands. Home may sound like a fantasy, but as a 32-year-old woman residing with her father, she doesn't feel like she's living the dream. Every day she tries to write her novel to fulfill her actual dream of becoming a best-selling author, enough to earn enough to repair the castle, currently crumbling, but the words won't come. I have had people in my comments who complain about the fact that writers write books about writers, or writers write books about people taking English classes, and we write what you know, right? And people who read books know other people who read books and who write books, and so this is a thing that audiences resonate with, that they enjoy. So yeah, no, keep doing this. Go ahead, keep writing writers. It's fine. It's fun. Saying like people who read books don't want to read about people who write books is a wild take. So this is all fine. This is adorable. It's great. Okay. Until her father rents out their home to an American film production and she meets Miles Casey. Great. We have our meet cute. See if I can move myself out of the way here a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Miles' open lust for life captivates Skye. Seeing her home through fresh eyes invigorates her love for it and reignites her passion for writing. She would like to date him, but long distance doesn't work, and Skye doesn't want to change her life. Okay, if we're looking at those 5 questions that need to be answered in a query letter, who is our main character? Skye. What is it that she wants? She wants to become a best-selling author, and also she doesn't want anything about her life to change. We have a little bit of an issue there. So she doesn't want to live where she's living. She wants to repair the castle. She wants to have a different job than what she has now. She wants to change kind of a lot about her life. But down here she says she doesn't want to change her life. So there's a disconnect here. If that's deliberate, then we need to maybe hang a lantern on that a little bit. But I think it's probably just, incorrect phrasing down here. Doesn't want to change anything about her life. Probably more accurate that she doesn't want to move away from Scotland, right? That can be true, while all of the change that's happening in this first paragraph, or the change that she's seeking in this first paragraph, can also be true. So I think we probably want to clean up the stakes down here in the second paragraph. And what is standing in her way? She has writer's block currently. She feels stuck in life. Like, that is not explicitly stated, and I know that people sometimes get upset with me when I talk about these 5 questions and they're like, well, I don't want to answer those all just in a list. No, you shouldn't answer them all in a list, but this is a really good example of how this can be just implicit on the page. So she wants to change her circumstances. She doesn't want to be living at home with her father. She doesn't want to be living in a crumbling castle. She wants to be a best-selling author. What is standing in her way is this writer's block. She feels stuck in her life. This isn't working for her. There might be some like mental health aspects behind this, like not something severe. This feels very lighthearted, but there's something that she is struggling with. It is personal. It is intrinsic. It is that feeling of I'm stuck and my life is going nowhere. That's all implicit on the page. You don't have to spell it out in order for me to understand it and for it to be able to answer that question. All right, so let's keep going. So, sorry, I accidentally cut the top of that off here, but we know that Skye rivets Miles. He would like to get to know her better, but after Tabloid posts a picture of the two of them leaving the bookshop, he promises the director he won't jeopardize the production by trying to date one of the hosts. He needs this film. It will validate the time he has spent shooting awful movies. It will prove acting what he's meant to do. So we have a type of word missing there. It's not a deal breaker, but watch out for things like that. And not just something he fell into, hopefully. So these awful movies are because he's bad at his job. He's not a good actor, or he's bad at picking movies, something. So he needs redemption. So he really needs to make sure that he does this job well. So we also know, especially since we said this was a dual POV, we need to know both of our protagonists. We know Miles. We know what it is that he wants. He wants to be an actor. He wants to prove himself. What is standing in his way? Himself. He's bad at his job. He didn't do it very well up until this point. And also, he wants to prove that he's good at acting. And what is standing in the way? He's horny, right? He wants to date this girl. So her meeting him and coming alive is good for her career, but it's going to be bad for his career. So we have conflict between the two. That's always good, especially in a dual POV, if their goals are at odds with one another to a certain degree. If we think of like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, their goals are at odds with one another. That's always good for us to see that on the page and for us to understand that, oh, there's more conflict than what we thought originally. Despite knowing they shouldn't, they agree to a secret fling. Feelings deepen. Time ticks by. Sky must decide if she's willing to change anything about her life to be with him. So again, we go back to that original conflict in the story, and not the not story conflict, but like the conflict that's listed here in the query letter. So she wants kind of a lot of stuff to change about her life. She doesn't want to live with her dad anymore. She wants the castle to be in repair. She wants a different career than what she currently has. She wants to be good at that career. She wants to change kind of a lot. So again, I want to clear this up and clarify this. And so it's not that she's not willing to change anything about her life. It's that she's not willing to move for him. And she's especially not willing to move for a failed actor, right? Like, girl, you better make sure that he is going to have a job and not be unemployed. And then we have a cute little bit down here. My grandmother told me the castle in Scotland was in our family for generations until a distant relative sold it off as a hotel. I always thought, what if they hadn't? So you do not necessarily need to include any sort of like inspiration like that. And in fact, I usually don't recommend that people do include inspiration for the story, because the inspiration usually isn't this cute and direct. Most of us do not have Scottish castles in our family to brag about, and like, this is a cute brag. I'm not ragging on it. So if you have something that is like cute and direct, you can say like, this was inspired by a true story about so-and-so. Very briefly, it should be like this, right? Like one sentence and not a very long sentence if you're going to talk about inspiration. Query letters are not the places for the themes that are running through the story, or what I hope people learn from it, or what I hope people get from it, unless you can do it very briefly and very succinctly. This is a cute way, this is fine, this can go ahead and this can stay. Because she put it in her personalization paragraph, I think that that's the right place for it. I would not have put that up at the top. We want to dive in with character, not with like growing up. I always thought that that's not what we really want at the beginning of the query letter. This is the right place for it. And then we go ahead and say we work as an elementary school teacher, right? So we say some things that are personal. When people go in and personalize the paragraph about the author, they will always talk about the fact that they love reading, they love writing, they love books. They've loved books since they were a child. They have been reading and writing, like they'll focus on those things. And yeah, we know you're querying a novel that you spent a lot of time on, that you're very proud of. We know that you love reading. We know that you love books. We know that you love writing. Tell us something else. So talking about her family, talking about the movies that she loves to watch, talking about this fun little family anecdote, that's all great to put into a personalization. People overthink this a lot and they're like, I don't have any good credentials. What am I supposed to put there? This is great. Cute little piece of inspiration, what I do as my day job, and another little bit of my hobby that ties to kind of what it is I am selling here. Doesn't necessarily have to tie to it, but it can. That's great. Personalization is great. This whole thing actually sounds like it's in pretty good shape. I would clarify that she doesn't want to change anything about her life, because that contradicts itself throughout the query letter. But otherwise, I think this one's in really good shape. This one is doing pretty well.